and welcome back to the Championship Wrap. I'm Jenna Bruff here with Andrew Henderson. Firstly, Hendo, let's go over with your weekend down at Craven Park. Bit of a shock defeat there.
Yes, Jenna, thank you for reminding me. It was a disappointing result for us. Obviously, we went there with high hopes and expectations that we could have delivered a performance that was going to overcome a very determined Hull Kingston Rovers side. Unfortunately for us, we just didn't quite execute well enough with the ball. Defensively, I thought we stood up pretty well on our try line, but probably across the whole course of the game weren't quite good enough in a number of our areas, which we've addressed today and spoke about as a group. But I'll tell you something, I enjoyed my Father's Day. I thought that was fantastic. I had a great Father's Day with sport, with some lovely little gifts, some prezzies, stock standard shower gel and socks. So happy days. Thanks there to the wife and the kids. But yeah, no, I had a lovely Father's Day over the weekend, which was lovely. So
mine was a little bit different. Danny travelled to Salford, sorry.
Yeah.
And had such a defeat there.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that one there. We've got Wakefield Warrington next week.
I won't probe you on that one.
And first up, we've got our feature game, Leigh versus Bradford, down at the Leigh Sports Village. Massive game here, big performance from Leigh. Let's take a look at this week's action.
Ridyard he was looking for the short pass there, was Ridyard, but he second-guessed himself. He pulled it back. Last play now. Hine goes into dummy half. He's scanning to his left here. Jumps out of dummy half. Oh, try for Ian Thornley. And he opens the account for the Centurions. Coming down this short side with Josh Woods out the back to McNally. Lovely hands to Costello. The dual registration man from St Helens with a great finish in the corner. Great kick again from Ridyard. Ethan Ryan picks it up there. He returns with some purpose. Oh, great footwork from Ethan Ryan. Great evasion to break the line. He's got support on the inside and outside. He elects to go inside of Matty Wildy. And Wildy, will he have the legs? Chasing hard as Thornley. He won't get there. And the Bulls are back in the game with a great try. McNally now, what a break from McNally. He's picked up the loose ball. He's going to race away. Heartache before half-time for Bradford. They've got themselves back in the contest. Disappointing try to concede. Fantastic. And he acknowledges the Bulls fans. Peltier spins out of one. Back on the side of Flanagan. He's over. Great try there from George Flanagan. He's happy. So are the Bulls fans. And they're back in the game. Leigh now. Deep in Bradford territory. Play the ball there from Thompson. Josh Woods, nice inside play there for Thornley. Simple drop-off play, gets the try. Ridyard. Dummies to Woods. Woods down to McNally. McNally, oh, great play there to Costello. Costello, he's got pace here. Costello, he beats Wildy's cover tackle. And McNally back on the inside to score. Fantastic try for the Centurions and Greg McNally. Luke Douglas with the break. He's going downfield. He won't have the legs. He's running away from his support. It's a great tackle by Dalton Grant. Much needed. Hyam now. Promotes the ball now to Josh Woods. He kicks early. He sees their space. And Liam Forsyth, he's in behind the line. And he'll score here, I think. Yes, he will. Great vision from Josh Woods. He saw Fogger Johnson was up in the line. Hyam now. Nice ball there to Ridyard. Dummies. Short pass now to Brooks. Keeps the legs pumping to Sam Brooks, the Scotland international, as he's brought to ground now. 9 metres from the Bradford line. They're looking determined to score another one. Nice short pass to Forsyth, and he's in again. Great try by Liam Forsyth. Bradford now, Matt Garside, trying to wriggle out of the collision. He's put down by Mickey Hyam. And attention from Ridyard. What's a sloppy pass there from Hallis. And the ball goes down to Minchella. Oh, he grabs it well there. It's Staunton. I think he's going to get over it. He will. Oh! Fantastic try from Matthew Staunton. They go short side now to Thornley, and that's a try. Just to wrap it up, they get the 50 points to the Centurions.
Leigh 52, Bradford 20. 6 wins in the last 7 for the Centurions. What are your thoughts on this game, Hendo?
Well, to be honest, Jenna, I think Leigh have been in really impressive form in recent weeks, hence what you've just said there, 6 wins out the last 7. I thought the actual overall game, I thought they were really good, the Centurions. I felt defensively they were really strong. I thought they nullified a lot of the attacking threat that Bradford had. They had to go at one stage down to 12 men on 2 occasions. So for 20 minutes of that game, they played with 12 men. So defensively, I thought they did a good job to keep Bradford at bay at only 20 points. With the ball, I thought they they were outstanding. I thought Greg McNally was really, really instrumental in a lot of good work they did. He had a hand in 2 of their tries, scored 2 himself. Overall, really good team performance for Lee. Disappointment for Bradford. I think that's 4 away losses now on the bounce for them, including the one at the Summer Bash. So, they've got a bit of work to do if they're going to be serious contenders to push for the top 5. But in saying that, they're still not too far out of it. They've got time to get themselves back on the horse.
What about the shock of the round? Swinton 20, Toulouse 18 at home at Toulouse. Did you see this one coming, Endo?
Well, Jenna, no, I didn't see that one coming, and I don't think you did either, because you were like me, you tipped Toulouse at home. And,
I sure did.
And no, look, no reason why we wouldn't. I mean, Toulouse have been really, really impressive at home. They've dominated a lot of teams there. They've scored a lot of points and done a really good job. But Swinton, what a performance and what a result, Jenna. I mean, they were 14-4 down at half-time as well, don't forget. So to come back against the odds against a full-time team who... and their home patch are normally very, very good, is a remarkable feat for that side. And Liam Paisley, the man who's on dual registration from the Wigan Warriors, normally a back row, had to deputise in the centre role this week, scored a hat-trick, very, very impressive. But, I mean, overall, a really gutsy, dogged win. And I'm really pleased for Stuart Littler, the head coach, Jenna. I know he works hard. He's a school teacher during the day. He's got a young side there that he's working with. And I know he puts a lot of effort. I know Stuart personally puts a lot of effort behind the scenes into his team and his players, and I'm just really pleased now that he's starting to bear the fruits of not only his hard labour but the team as well, because they have competed well this year, Swinton, and hopefully now towards the back end of the season we may see a bit of a mini revival from them and they may be pushing themselves to safety.
Next up, we've got Featherstone Rovers 22, Widnes 4. 6 consecutive league wins for Featherstone now, sitting 3rd in the table, joint with Leigh and York.
Yeah, look, they've been in really impressive form, Jenna. We spoke about them in recent weeks, haven't we, about being the dark horse of this competition. And they've been in really impressive form. I mean, that's a great result there for Featherstone. The conditions were tough on the day as well. It was pretty close at half-time, 8-0 up only at half-time. But really impressive performances from Ash Goulding at the back, who's on dual registration from the Leeds Rhinos. He was outstanding. The spine is starting to take some strength there. Cameron King at 9. Goulding at fullback, Holmes and Chisholm. That's a pretty good spine that they've got at their disposal now, Featherstone. But like I said, impressive performances from Ash Goulding at the back especially, and Tom Holmes deserves a notable mention. But again, a very, very good performance and good result for the Featherstone Rovers.
Next up, we've got Barrow Raiders 21, Halifax 8. Surprise win for Barrow here as Halifax lose another league game. Not such a surprise for me because I backed them.
Well, you did back them, Jenna. You did. I can't believe you did, but you did, and well done to you. I mean, I thought Halifax would have gone up there and got the job done, but disappointing result there for Halifax. I think it was an important game for them in terms of what they're trying to achieve this season. They want to be a serious contender for the top 5. That they've got to go and win those sort of games. However, much needed win there for the Barrow Raiders, Jenna, because as we know, they're in that relegation dogfight at the moment. That result now takes them within 1 point of Widnes, so they're hot on the heels of them, 2 points off Dewsbury. So a real encouraging performance and result for those guys. I think overall it was just a real gritty, dogged performance from the Raiders, a desperate performance, I should say. They were desperate for those points and they thoroughly deserved them. Halifax, they've got to go back to the drawing board now and try and come up with that formula or that recipe to get themselves back on the winning horse, because since really the Challenge Cup, they've had a few losses in the Championship League campaign. So they need to get themselves back on the horse and quickly.
Wow, next up we've got York City Knights on 60, Rochdale 0.
Yeah.
Where did Rochdale pick up from this? Rochdale struggling with only 1 win of the season now.
They are, Jenna. I mean, it's a tough one. We spoke about it last week, didn't we? They've come off the back of a couple of heavy defeats now. I think they're delaying the inevitable, which is relegation. I don't like to say it. They are a dual reg partner club, but that's where I feel they're at the moment. They've had a lot of stuff to deal with, but somehow the coaching team there are going to have to try and find some sort of positives or something to try and galvanise them and bring them together to have a final push at the back end of the season. But yeah, I'm not sure we're going to see that. But on York's behalf, fantastic result. They couldn't have done much more there. Real clinical performance, dominated from start to finish, and Coach James Ford and his team will be very, very pleased.
Next up, we've got Batley 24, Sheffield 54, 12-18 at half time. Then Sheffield just seemed to run away with it. What happened here?
They must have been going downhill second half. That's all I can think of. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You know, look, great performance for Sheffield because they're another team. I think in the past month have been a little bit indifferent within their performances and their form. Haven't quite been consistent enough across the board. So that's a really pleasing win for Mark Aston and his team. Batley have showed much improvement in their performances, so they'll be disappointed. I think in terms of the nature of the loss, the fact that they were in the contest at half time, and in fairness, capitulated in that second half. I think just a really good team performance. Some really good attacking play from the Eagles, especially in that second half, and scored some fantastic tries. So well done to them.
As we go into the last game of the round 17, we've got Toronto 70, Dewsbury Rams 8. They really did run away with it here at Toronto. Yeah,
they did, Jenna. Like I said, Toronto for me now are really starting to build for that back end. We spoke about it. I think the start of the season they were a little bit clunky. They're still finding their feet under the new coach, and I think they're still trying to build those combinations. But I think we've seen in the last 4 or 5 weeks now they've really started to step up another gear and another level. Dewsbury, well, they're in that relegation dogfight, as we know. They've had the odd result now and again. They've just got to try and be more consistent for longer periods. It's been an issue that they've had for most of the season. They'll have some good spells within games, but not for long enough. So, like I said, they'll be determined to turn that around next week. But the Wolfpack, for me, just keep going from strength to strength each week.
Thanks for that, Hendo. That's all from the round 17 results. Now let's take a look at the round 18 fixtures. First up, Friday night's game, Sheffield v Rochdale. Where do you see this one going, Hendo?
I can only really see it going one way, Jenna, I'm afraid, and that's a win for Sheffield. Like I said before, I just think Rochdale are in a dark place at the moment as a playing group. They just don't seem to be firing at all. I just don't see where that performance is going to come, or where that win's going to come from. I think you'll see a more determined and hungry Sheffield team on Friday night at home, coming off the back of a very good result against Batley. I see nothing short than a Sheffield win.
Next up, another Friday night fixture. We've got Widnes v Batley. What's your thoughts here?
Oh, wow. Widnes Batley, this is tasty. Really important game, this one, for both teams. For Batley, obviously, albeit they're sitting ninth, they're not quite out of the safety zone, so they'll just want to get that another couple of wins to make sure they get themselves out that relegation zone, so to speak. Widnes, on the other hand, well, they are in that relegation zone, aren't they? Barrow are creeping up on them now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a must-win game for them, to be honest with you. I think it's a game they have to win and overcome, because I think they lose this one and then they really are starting to slip into that serious relegation battle. So they're in the mixer at the moment, but yeah, like I said, I think Widnes will have too much in the tank. The Batley side on that 4G surface as well, I just don't think they'll have the tempo to go with Widnes. However, I think Batley, they will fancy their chances. They'll see that Widnes aren't playing very well at the moment and think they can get the job done. So I think it's going to make for a real interesting matchup, but I just think Widnes are going to get this one.
I'll go Batley on that one then.
Okay.
Next up, we've got a big fixture here. We've got Toronto v Toulouse at Toronto.
Wow.
We've already had, they've met twice this season.
Yep.
Toronto have beat them at the Blackpool Bash. Toulouse have won at home.
Yep.
Where do you see this one going at Toronto? Have they got an advantage there?
Do you know what? This is a great game again, isn't it? For different reasons. Toronto are very well organised defensively and offensively. I think they're a quality team. They're equipped ready, to go to Super League. There's no doubt about that in terms of their playing roster. Toulouse, for me, like you said, you mentioned it there, Jenna. Probably one of the only teams that have really troubled Toronto, throughout this season, and I think have got that kind of flair about their game. If they're on and things are coming off them, they've got that unpredictability, they've got that flair, they've got that skill and speed, to unlock that Toronto defence. However, I just think the way Toronto have approached this past sort of 5 or 6 weeks, and we have seen them start to step up their level of performances. I feel they are going up the gears as they approach the back end of the business end of the season. I don't see anything short of a Toronto win, to be honest, over in Toronto.
I'll go Toulouse. I'll go against you.
Wow.
Next up on the Sunday fixtures, we've got Bradford v Halifax, which is live on our League app at 3 p.m.
Wow, this is a great game, isn't it? This is a great game. Fortunately, I'm going to get the opportunity to be there. I'll be commentating alongside George Riley for our league, and I can't wait for it, to be honest, Jenna. I think you've got two teams that, since that Challenge Cup game, both haven't been in the best vein of form. Both are looking for results. Bradford have, I think, leading even into that Challenge
Challenge Cup tie, they'd had a few losses on the bounce in the championship, so their form hasn't been nowhere near where it needs to be. Halifax as well, they've had a few losses since Simon Griggs was given the job permanently. They haven't won a league game, I don't believe. They won the Challenge Cup quarter final and got themselves into the semi, but so they've had a couple of losses in recent weeks. So again, both teams are not in the best vein of form, but I'm actually expecting a Bradford win. I think Bradford are going to do the job. I think they'll be highly motivated after the disappointment of losing that Challenge Cup game at home in front of their fans against Halifax. Halifax, for me, I'm not sure what's happening there at the moment. They've just sort of had a bit of a downturn in form in recent weeks, but they'll be keen to get themselves back on the horse as well. So I think it's got all the ingredients to be a fantastic matchup, is what I'm saying. Yeah. But I think Bradford on the day are going to get the result.
Okay. Next up, we've got Dewsbury v Leigh. Where are we going?
Where are we going? Points are going back to Lancashire, I'm afraid. I think the Centurions have just, for me, I've seen enough in them in recent weeks that they're going to get the result at Dewsbury. I think Dewsbury will respond well. They tend to, off the back of a heavy defeat, come out and give their coach a response. I'm just not sure they've got the quality in the ranks to overcome I think a very well-balanced Leigh team. I look at that Leigh side and they've got such experience, in the middle of the park. Luke Douglas, Sam Brooks, both with Super League, NRL experience. There's an area that the one thing they do need to fix up is their discipline. And that was one thing I noticed on the weekend. Their discipline against Bradford wasn't good enough. So if they are going to seriously challenge at the back end or the business end of the season, they do need to fix up that discipline side of the game. 2 men in the sin bin for infringements. They conceded a lot of penalties in that game. That's certainly an area, but I just think they're going to have too much firepower on the day for the Dewsbury Rams.
Next up, we've got Featherstone v Barrow Raiders.
Yep.
What's your thoughts here?
Well, I think, albeit Barrow performed really, really well at home last week against Halifax, a fantastic performance and result for those guys. However, travelling down from Cumbria on the day to Featherstone, and they're playing an informed Featherstone team at the moment.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Featherstone, they're scoring points. They're not conceding a lot of points. I've said this now for a number of weeks on this show that, they are. They just seem to be playing very, very well. And I think the other thing, the motivating factor for Featherstone on the weekend is they'll know the result and the outcome of the result from Saturday's game between Toronto and Toulouse. And I believe that if Toronto defeat Toulouse and Featherstone go ahead and win on Sunday against Barrow, then Featherstone will go into second place on points difference. So there's a bit of carrot there for that Featherstone team. So I think they'll be highly motivated to get that result, to either keep them in touch and distance with Toulouse for that second spot or potentially leapfrog them and go into second spot.
Last up, we've got Swinton v York in the round 18 fixtures. Give us your thoughts on this one.
I'm going to tip an upset here. I'm going to tip a win for the Swinton Lions at home. I think we've seen enough encouraging signs from them in recent weeks. I thought they competed really well at home against a really good Toronto side. I do think it could be determined on who they do get on dual reg from Wigan. Liam Paisley featured for him this week. If they can keep a hold of him and a couple of other players, and they haven't picked up too many injuries from that game in the south of France, then I think they've got every reason to believe they can go and beat the York City Knights team, who, if we be honest, have performed pretty well in this championship season so far. They're sitting fifth for a reason, but I think Swinton, I think they're going to surprise the York City Knights this week. I think they're going to jag it.
We shall see.
We shall see.
That's all from the Championship Wrap. Big thanks to Hendo for joining me.
Thank you, Jenna. It's been a pleasure.
Join us again next week as we review the round 18 results from the Betfred Championship.